Alright folks, welcome back to the RGN League semifinals, MiTH versus Mineski. The winner of this best of 3 series will go on to face the winner of Orange versus First Departure. I'm not sure of the dates of that yet. I'll let you guys know in Twitch chat when I figure it out. So, a very interesting game 1. MiTH were playing with 2 stand-ins. Now they're down to 1. So I mentioned before game 1 that MiTH were having a little bit of difficulty getting all their players to the site where they were playing. I think they're at a LAN cafe somewhere in Thailand. There are anti-government protests in Thailand, if you didn't know. This week they turned from largely non-violent. There were some shootings at the beginning of this week, I believe. So now there's blockades, there's all sorts of stuff, and a couple of MiTH members are stuck in traffic. We do have Abba for this game, so R5 is still not here. But we will have Abba, so he's filling in for MiTH's coach, who actually played the last game. But Moru, who was playing Storm Spirit last game, will be back this game, and we'll see how MiTH adapt to being with 1 stand-in rather than 2. But to say that MiTH were playing with stand-ins is to take away from what was still a really impressive achievement from Mineski. They played a dominant game 1. Jay was excellent as the support alchemist, using Quelling Blade to cut things into the bottom of the tree line on Dire Tier 1. It was very, very clever play. Jesse Vosh farmed effectively on Lone Druid, and Joven had a very commanding performance on Invoker. It was really, really, really impressive. Quaswex Invoker too, where almost all the current Invoker players, including both of the Invoker games that we saw yesterday, one for Impervious, one for First Departure, we've mostly seen an Exort-focused Invoker coming out. But that was Quaswex, and he really put the Quaswex Invoker through its paces. He was using Tornado extremely effectively all game. He used Cold Snap, he used EMP. In fact, EMP was the spell that turned the entire tide of the game. MiTH were behind, but in a fairly stable position, and they were managing to put kills on the board. But then SD on Clockwork initiated onto a clump of MiTH players, and Joven landed a perfect EMP onto 3 players that drained all of Lakel's mana, all of SD's mana, and all of a sudden there was just simply no way that MiTH could continue to prosecute that fight. So it was very impressive play from Mineski. We'll see what they have in store for us game 2. The head-to-head record between these 2 teams is now 10-8 in favor of MiTH. They're 2 teams that play against each other a lot, going back all the way to, you know, even in Dota 1 these 2 teams played a lot, but in Dota 2 we've certainly seen our fair share of a rivalry. They most recently faced each other in the Netherlick Pro League, I believe, Season 3, maybe? But before that, I was able to cast them for the GEST July finals, and that was a really, really impressive series as well. Mineski did win that one also. So, as I mentioned in the first game draft, MiTH began their Dota 2 rivalry by winning almost constantly, but then Mineski has looked a little bit sharper recently. At any rate, MiTH takes the Invoker for themselves in this game too. They actually decide to first pick it, so they definitely definitively take it away from Mineski. Invoker has been part of the first set of picks in all 4 of the games that we've seen in the last 2 days in this league, in the RGN League playoff. Impervious first picked him, First Departure second picked him, and then Mineski and MiTH have also second picked him in this series. Mineski, for their part, have taken the Crystal Maiden once again. They also secure for themselves a Clockwork and a Mirana. Mirana was first banned by MiTH in the previous game. Here we do see her not first banned, and consequently she's actually picked up. So Clock, Mirana, CM. Earthshaker is the pick from MiTH. So they say you're going to ban Sand King. We have another Strength Blink Initiator we can go for. And in fact, debatably a stronger one. Earthshaker has a far greater effective initiation range. With all the buffs to Fissure, he's now able to Fissure from, 1,400 units away?
10 seconds.
Half a map away. Well, it doesn't say here, but I'm pretty sure it's 1,400 units for Fissure, which is absolutely bonkers. It's a really, really crazy length of initiation. Looking at the bans, MiTH actually first banned the Alk. I think we'll be seeing more Alk early bans, probably, as this patch wears on. He's such a strong hero. He's capable of playing multiple roles, but really, even if he were only a support, I still think that he would be worthy of a ban, just because he's so strong, the physical damage that he deals, the amount of havoc that he's able to cause, especially Doubly so if you have a Visage. So we saw in the last game that when you have Visage and the other team is Alchemist, if they just throw the stun onto the Visage every time, if it goes for a long duration, like if you let it run 4 or 5 seconds before you throw it on Visage, the dude has zero base armor. He's going to take half his health in it, and when you add the Medallion, it's just going to tear through that Visage so quickly that he's just not able to cast his spells in a fight because he's just always dying. If you are going to play Visage against Alchemist, I almost feel like you have to bring like a ring of protection to the lane or something. You need armor. It's not optional. At any rate, Visage, Invoker, Earthshaker is the loadout so far from MiTH, and they chose to ban the Alchemist, which I think makes a lot of sense after that game 1. Mineski has run Alchemist in 3 of their 4 last games before this, so a ban is very targeted and very smart, I think. Mineski, meanwhile, they go for the Puck. So it'll be Puck versus Invoker middle in all likelihood. There's another couple options. We've seen Pucks relegated to side lanes based on the future draft of the team, but it's not usually something I think is that strong. It's more of a draft surprise tactic, like you want to just take the other team when they're not expecting the Puck to not be mid to flip the lanes on them and make it very difficult for them to play. But I suspect it will be Puck versus Invoker. A matchup that's slightly tilted in the Puck's favor. Puck should be able to bully the Invoker a little bit. We'll also see if both teams, as they did last game, elect to pool their Invoker some Tangos, allowing them to go Null Talisman first. They might see both mids actually get given 2 or 3 Tangos just so that they can get that Null. Null is a very common start for Puck. It's also a pretty common start for Invoker. Rubik, the final ban out for MiTH, while Weaver will go out for Mineski. Of course, Lakel's hero has not yet been drafted, hence, I mean, the anti-mage ban, not a surprise. The Lifestealer ban, just not even that it's a particularly Lakel's-oriented hero, even though it is to some extent, but this is more about just the fact that Lifestealer is one of the highest tier, if not the highest tier carries still in the pool. Even after all the nerfs, he's still incredibly strong. And anti-mage is, we talked about this game 1, he's just a very, very strong hard carry. MiTH is a team that likes to play a hard carry, and so the anti-mage is the ban. For MiTH's own part, their bans are actually really similar. They take out the OD, TA, Timber. The Alchemist is new to the bans, but the Rubik is just, they thought another support was going to come out from Mineski. In fact, what Mineski's pick is the Bounty Hunter. So this actually indicates to me, well, actually, yeah, this is going to be a farming Mirana and maybe a support Clockwork. So lane support Clockwork is something that we have seen. Dignitas, I believe, was one of the first teams to run it. And then we had Empire played it a lot. No, sorry, I should say Roxkiss. The Russian team Roxkiss played a lot of support Clockwork. But Jay will be on the Bounty Hunter here, so that Mineski will be seeking to put kills on the board. Mirana, not the greatest one position hero, and they have really, really poor carry potential in this game, Mineski, so they'll definitely be seeking to dominate the middle game, get a ton of track gold, ramp that Mirana towards where she's dealing impressive damage, and just hope to overwhelm MiTH. But without a natural one position hero, they're really going to be relying on putting kills on the board, so this might be a very exciting game. Meanwhile, for MiTH, I mentioned in game 1 that MiTH is a team that does like to put a lot of farm on Lakel's, and so they may struggle in a metagame of 6.79 where it's harder to make sure that you have one hero getting a ton of farm when all the lanes might struggle. But Clinks is a hero that Lakel's actually has done a lot of work on. He's innovated some of the builds. The Blink Clinks that's very popular right now just because it was run in MLG Columbus by Speed Gaming. Actually, Blinks is a Lakel's, if not creation, he was one of the first pro players, or maybe even the first pro player, to really run it a lot. There was a game that MiTH won in the TI3 Eastern Qualifier where Lakel's went something like 13-0 with Blink Clinks, so honestly, it's a very strong item pickup. It's something that Lakel's has done in the past. He's not necessarily, he doesn't go at every game that he's on Clinks, but Clinks is an excellent hero for Lakel's, and unlike a lot of his heroes, it's one that's actually gained in the patch. Clinks right now is extremely, extremely, extremely strong. The new changes to Searing Arrows, I mean, the spell costs next to no mana. It does incredible damage. It goes through BKB, which is crazy. There's really no recourse to the Searing Arrows on Mineski right now. Any of their heroes are going to get torn apart by that spell. So Clinks is a great pickup here. It's one that's a little less farm. It doesn't need quite as much farm as your Morphling. The great thing about Clinks is that his first item is a killing item. you almost always build that Orchid first on Clicks. I mean, you can build Midas first, but I don't really count that as a major item pickup. The fact that it's the Orchid means that every single item you get on Clinks is helping you fight. It's not Lincoln's on Morphling. It's not... Oh. They got the Coco. Well, I think we can call this 1-1 safely, folks. MiTH has brought out Coco the Courageous. No, but seriously, the Clinks, unlike Morphling, unlike Anti-Mage, his first item is a farm item or a survivability item. His first item is a I want to go out and kill you item. And so we'll be watching Lakel's Clinks very intently this game. To talk about the rest of MiTH lineup, obviously we just talked about Lakel's and the Clinks. Abba will be piloting the Invoker. And then we've got TNK on the Visage once again for the second game. SD will be playing Earthshaker, and Moru will be playing Windrunner. This is most likely, this feels like, yeah, it's going to be an aggressive Radiant tri-lane with the Windrunner as the farmer. So this is pretty typical Southeast Asian laning setup. I'm not too surprised to see this. Looking up towards Mineski, they're up a game, 1-0 currently for Mineski in this best of 3. They're going to be seeking to close this out in the early to mid game. Jules on the Mirana, Josh on the Crystal Maiden. Then in the middle we have Joven on the Puck, and in the top it looks like it might be a dual lane, Jay being the Bounty Hunter, and Jesse Vosh on the Clockwork. This is an unusual dual lane, but hey, I mean, if they can pressure Clinks effectively, which they may be able to, Frostbite into Arrow is pretty potent, even in a duel. They don't necessarily need either the Clockwork or the Bounty Hunter to help them with that. So, we'll have to see how the lanes shake out, but it looks like Mineski may seek to run some sort of dual lane, or, depending on, may rotate and actually do try versus try top, but didn't go that well for MiTH last game, so we'll see if Mineski feel like it's a good idea this game. Josh picks up the early Invisory on Crystal Maiden. He's just going to scout out TNK and Lakel's. TNK rotating down here. As soon as they saw it, it might not be 1 versus 1. Clinks will win most 1v1 matchups, but he might struggle at a 1v2, especially against Crystal Maiden Mirana. So I think it's intelligent to send the Visage down here. In fact, they even send the Earthshaker, so it'll be a full tri-lane down here. Earthshaker, Visage, and Clinks. Clinks. Oh, actually, Josh uses the end of his Invisorune. Here's SD already taking a lot of auto attack damage, but they need to time the Frostbite. He interrupts. Oh no, that was not good at all. The first blood comes out very quickly. The Earthshaker lands that fissure, and an immediate soul assumption from the Visage leads to the death of Josh, and they ward. They've actually put down a sentry ward, immediately removed that observer ward placed by Mineski, and not a good start for Mineski in this lane. In fact, SD coming around, he wants to time that fissure effectively. Jules does not have leap, but SD elects not to throw down the fissure and actually loses some of his regen, his clarity, as a result. Oh, actually, here's Jules again, though. The fissure blocks him. He's on the wrong side. Soul Assumption comes out. One more Searing Arrow will do it, and that'll be a kill for Lakel's. Now 1-0 and 1 for Clinks. 2 disconnects from MiTH, so they lose both SD and Abba. I assume they're probably at the same LAN cafe. But they'll be very happy as they seek to reconnect, because Lakel's has already been part of 2 kills. Not a good start. Mineski. I mean, they lose the Mirana, they lose the Crystal Maiden. I'm really not sure about that. He still had a little bit of time left on the Invisibility Rune. I don't think they had any chance of securing the kill there. Earthshaker Visage are able to pack quite a punch in a short period of time, so surprising. But Mineski will have to rejigger how they do this lane, because it hasn't gone the way they wanted at all. Clockwork up here. Jay is still level 1 on the Bounty Hunter. Clockwork level 2. Moru almost level 3. So this top lane isn't going super well for Mineski either. The main good news is in middle, we expect Joven, unless there's big rotations coming out from MiTH supports, Joven should be able to win this lane, and so far that's exactly what you see him doing. He's with the same number of creeps in the lane. He's 2 last hits ahead and 2 denies ahead, so already taking quite a bit of advantage in this lane. We talked about what their item loadout is going to be. No surprise for the Puck. It's going to be Null, Talisman, Branch, and 2 Tangos. For the Invoker, was he not pooled? Huh, interesting. So for Abba, meanwhile, it's 2 branches, a pooled Tango. It looks like he used one. He did get pooled 2 Tangos, but he just went Branch, a Circlet, which eventually will be Drums, and a Healing Salve. So he's saving for Bottle. This is an Exord Invoker, so we're going to see two completely different styles in the 2 games. In Game 1, we saw the Quas Wex Invoker coming out from Joven. In Game 2, we'll see the Exord Invoker from Abba. So Exord is pretty mana-hungry if you're tossing out those Sunstrikes constantly, especially once you add like Cold Snap or something. So you don't get any, you don't have that AMP to try to regen mana. You really want to just be able to spam. And so Bottle, I guess, will be his choice. Maybe also Fast Boots. The regen from Bottle will also be quite helpful against Puck, who loves to just constantly harass. Puck's build, I mean, it's hard to say with only 2 levels. He's got Orb, Phase Shift. Most likely will pick up Waning Rift level 3. We'll have to see which he favors, whether it's Orb or Waning Rift. Orb gives you more harassment potential. You can do it from long range. Waning Rift is more of a, like, it silences for longer, so if you're actually making a kill attempt, it's much better against an Invoker to have that longer duration silence. Abba actually takes 2 hits from the tower, so even as we mentioned that, he takes a ton of damage, and he's really going to be hurting for regen, because the 2 tower hits, plus the 2 auto attacks. Oh no! He gets his clarity broken! Jovis might even go in for the kill. He throws out the orb. He's just trading auto attacks. Abba is in a world of trouble here. One more auto attack from the Puck might actually be enough. Yes, it is. Puck gets the last hit, and Abba takes a fall. That is very, very unfortunate for MiTH. They lose, after going up 2-0, they lose the Invoker mid, and now this is going to be a very difficult lane. You're going to see a lot of pressure on SD and TNK to actually make the rotation over, but you can see MiTH, Mineski is already planned for that. There's a ward for both teams right here, and so if they make the rotation, unless they have a smoke, which they do, but if they're seen making that rotation, then Puck will be very, very safe to just orb his way on out. Now Puck level 4, Invoker level 2. Oh, that was such a bad beat for them, frankly. Jules just controlling the haste rune, trading a hit or 2 with SD. They will have seen, he should not have been able to see SD unless they had a ward. So now MiTH know that there's a ward there, but Jules does allow Puck to come in and pick up the haste rune, and that's going to be even more pressure thrown out onto Abba. 10 for 2 now for Puck. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Jesse Vosh is farming just fine. It's going to be Soul Ring for Klinks, so does give him that extra ability to constantly throw out Searing Arrows as well as use the Skeleton Walk if he needs to. So that's the Soul Ring build. I mean, I don't know if he's going to go Soul Ring, Bottle, and MiTH, but we'll have to see if these builds are Lakel's approved, because he's one of the original really strong Klinks players. He was playing Klinks even when a lot of players weren't. It was really just him and Funnick for a while. And now, of course, Funnick is back to the hero because he's now pretty OP. He's a pretty powerful hero. Another pause coming out from MiTH. They're dealing with some lag issues and some disconnection issues at their LAN cafe. Oh, no, it's actually a keyboard problem. But probably maybe his keybinds got reset when he disconnected or something. Alright. Now, yeah, you can just see Joven really using his advantage in this lane. But it has to be noted, Lakel's, unlike Game 1, is farming extremely well down here. There's really no way that the solo Mirana is going to effectively threaten him. But there is an arrow thrown out on TNK just to steal jungle farm. He actually doesn't follow up on it with trying to kill. I mean, Jules has plenty of mana right now. The problem is, oh, nice leap to the low ground. So avoids getting punished at all by Lakel's by making that leap. Meanwhile, Abba is just constantly taking harassment. He's picked up a rank of Quas, so pretty typical for the Exort Invoker. Oh, nice. Joven uses the phase shift to dodge the tower hit. And he's actually used the haste rune, so it's more and more trouble for Abba. Abba right now is just trying to bait a little bit. He's pretty low on health. He's actually keeping the Exort orbs up because he wants Joven to jump in because they have support smoked here. So yeah, he's baiting really, really hard. You can see he's purposefully not going Quas just to make the Puck do something that he's going to regret. And here comes Joven right now. The Fissure gets thrown out. Soul Assumption to follow. Doesn't get, oh, he does hit Joven with it, but it's not enough to actually kill him, and Joven is just fine. In fact, TNK is quite low himself. Here's Jesse Vosh looping around the back, but he doesn't have hookshot yet. It's going to be very tricky. He only has rank 1 Rocket Flare, and the Healing Salve and Clarity already coming out for Visage. Jesse Vosh, I just don't see any way that he manages to get this kill. Jules is lurking as well, but there's just no way. Jay is here. He's got 2 ranks in Janata. Will they try to make a play onto Moro? They need a very well-timed Frostbite to make this work. There's the Janata. They don't get Frostbite. They hit him with the Crystal Nova, but that was a botched gank attempt overall. The arrow hits, however. Frostbite onto SD. Josh still taking tower damage, but Moro and SD will be able to back up. Here's Jesse Vosh as well, but still, he still doesn't have hookshot. Mineski, these gank attempts are just, they're coming a little bit too early, I feel. There's not enough levels, but Joven just manages to solo down Invoker, even with Visage there. Phase Shift and Orb to dodge the Visage reprisals, and Joven is just having another dominant game so far. 2-0-0 on the Puck. Visage just not able to do anything here to him. He just walks away after another face shift, and even though nobody on Mineski is getting any levels and they're not getting ganks, the puck is absolutely thrilling us so far this game. But they need levels on Clockwork. Right now he's just hanging out. Jesse Vosh still trying to make something happen, but without hookshot it's so much more difficult. Jay rotates to the bottom. It'll be Bounty Hunter versus Clinks. Clinks doesn't have any regen here. Oh, yep, it will be the MiTH. The only thing left is the bottle, I guess. I think I'd probably go Soul Ring MiTH straight into the Orchid if I had to guess. I mean, Lekels has a good idea of just how much farm he's getting. He understands that he's completely free farming. That Bounty Hunter is not going to stop him, especially not before track, which he's only level 4. So Lekels is very safe to just get these good quality of life items like Soul Ring, get the farm enabler items like MiTH, and he'll be very comfortable with his position in the game. 38 for 6 so far. The score for him. So it's more than 6 last hits per minute. Lekels is definitely trucking along. But here's Jesse Vosh. They once again create this dual lane with the Bounty Hunter and the Clockwork. The MiTH, however, is done for Clinks, and he's got Death Pact. So the thing about the Soul Ring is it always gives you the mana to be able to Death Pact consistently, and that increases your gold income even further than just having the MiTH. It almost makes Clinks into like a Doom type figure where Death Pact is low cooldown. So his jungling is actually very, very fast with MiTH and with the Death Pact when they're both up. Meanwhile, in the middle, another kill onto Invoker. So Abba now 0-3-0. That one required a rotation from Josh, but still, the Crystal Maiden well worth rotating for what they get out of it. Lekels picks up the 2 jungle creeps. He MiTHs, he Death Packs, and he's back into the lane. But Jay is here, doesn't have track yet. In fact, he's not that close, but there's the... there is the dust. He's trapped into Cogs. MiTH is rotating 2 people over. There's the Shuriken toss, but it's only level 1. Fissure gets thrown out. Jesse Vosh is wrong-sided by it. Oh, they don't have quite enough to actually get the Clockwork just yet, and Visage is completely out of mana. Clockwork is teleporting his way on out. Here comes Crystal Maiden as well. Janata getting thrown out. TNK, will he get frostbitten? No, Josh isn't close enough to do it. Oh, here comes SD. Jay, is he in trouble? There's the Sentry Ward. SD needs to be able to Fissure, but he does not have mana. He's 25 mana short, and Abba, for his part, he's here, but there's nothing he can do. They don't even know where Jay is. They still don't have any detection. They have a dust, but it has a long time left on it. Oh, Jay actually pulls himself out of stealth. Was this a mistake? No, because there's still no detection. Abba, the rotation completely fails. This Invoker is struggling to make anything happen this game. And meanwhile, Joven is just farming in the middle. 1,000 gold for him, part of 3 kills, Wand, Null, Power Treads. So, and he's pressuring the tier 1 tower to the point where they even have to fortify it. All of MiTH except for Moru are down in this bottom lane. Now finally rotating over. Jay spotting out where SD is. He throws out a nice Fissure, but it doesn't actually land on anybody. The Sunstrike, finally a kill obtained by Abba. He manages to get on the Bounty Hunter. The Courier comes in and manages to leave, was just delivering Puck's bottle back to him. And Joven will make it out of this fight, but it was important to get an Invoker kill. Meanwhile on the top, Jesse Vosh gets almost to level 6 off of managing to come around the back, kill that Windrunner. It looks like, it looks like that was just Crystal Nova into Arrow. And meanwhile, Joven taking a lot of harassment from Abba. The Cold Snap comes out. Joven doesn't have Phase Shift yet. He's very, very low. Waning Rift gets thrown out. He gets the Phase Shift. Oh my god, he uses it and he kills Abba. Abba thought he had that kill, and instead Joven gets his 5th kill participation of the game. Oh, nice Fissure, but there's not quite enough damage. There's no Visage, and SD doesn't even manage to secure it up. Puck with 20 HP will head back home and feel like he got a gift there in the form of the 4th death for the Invoker. He's going Gloves of Haste, probably a MiTH, but it'll be very, very late. At this point, I would say the good news is Windrunner is farming well in this lane, 31 for 12. Phase Boots Basilius, probably a fast mechanism if I had to guess, maybe a 4-staff. And in the bottom lane, Lekels, he's 1-0-1, and he has the MiTH, so he has very, very, very good gold income. I mean, the Soul Ring is, it gives you the mana to Death Pact on every cooldown, so it's actually... If you get a big jungle creep every time, it's not quite a second MiTH, but it's roughly a Devour. Oh, Jay, even in Moonlight Shadow, he comes right under the Sentry Ward. Unfortunately, only a couple Searing Arrows used by Lekels, so it's not enough to kill Jay, but the Bounty Hunters does survive. Here's a hook shot into the middle. Abba in trouble. Joven takes a lot of damage, but he gets yet another kill on Invoker. Finally, the puck is brought down by an SD Fissure, but Jesse Vosh had hooked in. They get the kill on Lekels. Lekels gets hooked and just killed, so 9-4 the advantage for Mineski now, and they're just creating space all over the map. Even though Puck dies, and that was his first death of the game, even though it was a, well, it was only, yeah, it was a 549 gold purse for Earthshaker, so that's going to be ES's Arcane Boots, or he can try to rush Blink, but most likely Arcane Boots, because he's gone this Fissure. Fissure's pretty expensive.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Still, even with the Puck death, the fact that they kill Invoker for the 5th time, he's level 7, Puck is level 11, 4 level difference between the mids here. So Abba, even coming in for the stand-in, didn't do much better than Moru did last game. In fact, he's done worse in some respects. Jay, going right in on Invoker, he's going to put the track up. There's Abba in a lot of trouble. Here's Joven again. Will this be Abba's 6th death of the game? Yes. One more auto attack will do it. They managed to avoid tower damage almost completely, and that's a track kill, the 2nd of the game. The first one was probably on Lekels. Lekels is here hunting. He's going in on Josh. This will be a very easy kill for Clinks. Absolutely fantastic fissure from SD. 2 more hits from the Clinks. Yes, that's a double for Lekels. An absolutely critical pickup for them. Grave Chill just to send Jay packing, and that was an excellent turnaround. Even though they lose Abba, Lekels is hanging in there. He's only 1 level behind Joven. Now that's his 3rd kill. He has died once, but with the double kill, he's now secured his place atop the... Well, he's tied for GPM, but he has the highest net worth when you consider the fact that he has Midas. Jesse Vosh, meanwhile, used his first hook shot very effectively. He now has phase boots plus 1,700 gold. We'll see what he actually decides to build towards. We've seen a lot of variation among Clockwork builds lately. Sometimes they go fast Force Staff, sometimes they go fast Blade Mail. Sometimes we even still see the Aghanim Scepter, depending. So we'll see what he goes for here. Jules just farming up top. Not the easiest start for Mirana. She started by giving away one of the first 2 kills of the game, but now has 33 last hits. Not quite comparable to the Windrunner, but in the neighborhood. Fissure Power Shot combo. Oh, here's the Familiars. They don't actually get the stun, and in fact, both of them drop down, so probably would have been better to drop one of them, hit with the other. Oh, Sunstrike is off the mark. Jules will survive. No Sunstrike kill for Abba there, so he's still only 2 kill participation. Meanwhile, Lekels, isolated, frostbitten, uses magic stick charges. Oh, no, actually no magic stick charges. He just gets the death pact up, I think, and he's going to skeleton walk away from this, so he's completely safe. Here comes a TP. Jay is very deep. Echo Slam used by SD. Runs out of mana doing it, but it doesn't matter. Wind Ranger there to get the kill, and that's going to be another critical kill for MiTH Trust there. Clawing their way back into a game that Puck looked to be in danger of completely taking control. And in the top, Visage actually landed the last hit on the top tier 1 tower. So the first tower is coming out for both teams. Meanwhile, Moonlight Shadow, Josh and Joven hunting Lekels again. Can they actually get this kill? Do they have Dream Coil available? They do have Dream Coil. They're under the tower though. There's the Frostbite. There's the Illusory Orb. They're taking so much tower damage it doesn't matter. Lekels is down. Phase Shift to get out. Blink Dagger plus 1k gold available for Joven. And this is a bad sign for MiTH Trust. This Puck is so big, they're now able to hunt the Clinks just by using an old track from Jay. And meanwhile, another Midas is on the field. I believe it was for Clockwork. Yeah, Clockwork goes for the Midas, so Jesse Vosh is going to be leveling very well. He feels like he's a little behind where he... Oh, uh-oh. Moru gets tracked up and Janata'd. Already eats a Shuriken Toss. Jay just using that Mono Regen. There's the hook shot. Battery Assault. There is a Sunstrike coming back, so maybe they can trade for Jesse Vosh. The Cold Snap comes out. One more last hit. Yes, they managed to get the kill. Unfortunately, it's already 2 tracks up. They already killed Wind Ranger and Visage, and both of them tracked. And now the chase comes out to Abba. SD needs a perfect fissure. He gets it. He blocks off Jay, and there's no ability to actually track. What a nice fissure that was, blocking the entire radius. SD is having an excellent Earthshaker game. 1-1-5. He's been part of 6 of 8 kills. He has this Arcane Boots. And Mineski, they're going into Midas Gaming. They pick up a Midas on Mirana. They have a Midas on Clockwork. Midas finally comes out for Invoker, and of course the Clinks one has been up for a while. Nope. Visage Familiars come down. Just farming jungle, just scouting a little bit. Visage, the Familiars do have very bad eyesight, but they are able to get a little bit. Meanwhile, it's Staff of Wizardry for Joven. And with the Null Talisman, I have to assume that this is probably going to be Dagon. And the Dagon in this game, because he's doing so well, because he's ahead on levels, he can probably kill just about anybody, particularly Visage, who has very low base magic resistance. But even somebody like Invoker, who's died so much, or even Clinks, who has, outside of Death Pact, when he has Death Pact, he's very tanky, but when he doesn't, you can probably pick him off. So the Dagon will be very effective, potentially, from Puck. Or it could end up being a total waste of money. That's kind of the gamble you take when you build a Dagon. Yep, there it is. Here comes Coco the Courageous, delivering Mithril Hammer to Lakel's. Wow, Lakel's not feeling safe. This might actually be the... I think this is probably BKB, because he knows how dangerous the puck has been. He knows, and especially after he sees that the Dagon has been built, he'll feel like he has to go BKB first. But this does take away the advantage of actually building the Orchid first on the Clinks, because, you know, you don't have that silence. You're not able to silence down the puck. You're really just, you're reacting rather than being proactive. The other option is we've seen Desolator Clinks before, but... Oh, actually, sorry, I totally missed Wind Ranger. Here comes a Dust. They thought Clinks was here, but immediate kill onto Crystal Maiden very easily with just Earthshaker and Visage damage. Actually, nice Echo Slam! Oh, man. A fantastically well-timed Echo Slam from SD gets the kill onto Joven as well, so this fight goes very badly for Mineski. They do kill the Wind Ranger. I'm not exactly sure where that happened. Oh, I guess they... hook shot? I'm not exactly sure how they kill the Wind Ranger, but the trade-off is for Crystal Maiden and Puck in the bottom, particularly due to just an absolutely perfectly timed Echo Slam from SD to prevent the Puck from being able to orb out. So they found a track onto Lakel's. They tried to Dust to finish him off, but it did not work, and Abba just farming the jungle. That's how tough of a game he's had. Will Jay try to go for the solo kill? He will. Track is up. He's got rank 4 Shuriken, and the hook shot follows from Jesse Vosh. The hook shot is exactly what they needed there, and that's almost a full Vladimir's offering complete for Jay. It'll give both him and the... meanwhile, Lakel's gets the bottom tower, so a tier 1 tower picked up for Lakel's. Everybody's farming here, everybody's hitting their marks, and the problem is that Mineski just have way more farmed heroes than MiTH do. But Lakel's can't be counted out. He has 2,700 gold. If he wants BKB, he can basically finish it. If he's feeling very safe, he can go for something like Desolator. I think it's probably going to be BKB. I think the chances of BKB are like 70%, but you never know. Clockwork, we'll have to see what his next item is. I mean, that Midas so far, he's still been able to hit his marks, and he's been able to level very quickly. You can just see that there's this big clump of leveled Mineski heroes. Joven no longer has an advantage because he's managed to die 3 times, but he's still tied with Lakel's at level 13. And then Clockwork is 11, Marana is 11, 10 for Bounty Hunter. Here's the Cogs, doesn't trap Moru in. He managed to use Wind Run very effectively, but another Janata is coming up in just 1 second. He's very slow now. It's going to be an easy track kill, even though Lakel's BKB is complete. Oh, meanwhile, Josh, another amazing fissure from SD, just clips him right on the end. And here's Joven trying to fight, but he has almost no chance to actually win this. He waiting riffs Lakel's just to prevent the searing arrows. But now he's high grounded. Will these familiars actually kill him? He uses the phase shift. He doesn't have orb for another 4 seconds. The familiars, yes! Another fissure will do it. Joven has given up his incredible early advantage, and now Jay trying to fight it out against TNK, but the soul assumption gets thrown out. SD has another, oh, nice hookshot from Jesse Vosh, gets the visage, but Jay will get brought down immediately by Lakel's, and now attention turns to Jesse Vosh. Another great fissure from SD, and Jesse Vosh is just trying to get out. The Sunstrike comes through, and the familiar stuns. It's a double kill for Lakel's, and Mineski are seeing their early game advantage fall apart. Blink Dagger complete for Earthshaker, and Lakel's is just piling on kill after kill after kill, now with a 10-second BKB and 1,750 gold to boot. They also have the game's only mechanism. Are Mineski paying for their overconfidence? Are they paying for the Midas Gaming? Because they built 2 Midases, and neither of them has really made a game impact. Added to the fact that they don't have a mechanism, they don't even have anybody building a mechanism. The Clockwork could have had most of it by now. No. He could have had the entire mechanism by now. And Joven has just been completely stymied. I don't think he's even used the Dagon yet. He built it and he has not used it. He's now down to 6, 4, and 3, where I believe he was 6 and 1 at some point. SD smoked up. Mineski does not know, although I bet they suspect, about the Earthshaker Blink. They don't know that this hero has Blink Dagger and also has Ultimate available. They'll know about the Ultimate cooldown, but not about the Blink. And this could be an extremely surprising kill of TNK. There's the Echo Slam. Jules is in so much trouble. The Sunstrike does not get the last hit. It'll actually be Soul Assumption from Visage. But the important thing is, the Marana is brought down just extremely easily. They will now, at this point, know, of course, about the Blink. They also know that Echo Slam was used for that kill. But that's another member of the Midas Gaming crew stopped dead in his tracks. Here's Jay just throwing out a track onto Moro, but not a fight that they can pursue. Jesse Vosh, he has hookshot available in 45 seconds, so Not going to make that happen onto the Wind Ranger. And Lakel's, he's hunting once again. He actually has almost half... Oh, here's a fissure! Sunstrike! Joven manages to phase shift out of the Sunstrike. Really excellent, but it's not enough. Lakel's is tracked up. There's the BKB! He responds. They dust up Jay. And Lakel's, the BKB won't make that much of a difference, but it will prevent any chance of them actually killing him. And here comes the push up the middle from MiTH. Abba's here, TNK, Moru, and SD. They're all pushing up towards this tier 1. Try to seize a little bit of map control. Jay going to yoink that haste rune, chase out Lakel's if he can, but I don't think the bounty hunter can get that solo kill. And here it goes. The tier 1 tower being pounded down. They have the Forged Spirits, they have the Familiars. This is an easy kill for them. Nobody gets the last hit. Nice hook shot from Jesse Vosh. He's trapped them in, but a fissure response from SD already. There's so much damage coming into this cogs on both sides. Nice ultimate from Crystal Maiden, but it's immediately interrupted. Abba extremely low. He's tracked up. He finally gets picked off. Jay now chasing Moro. The rocket flare gets the last hit. This fight is turning. SD gets one more stun. Here's the response from Visage. Another soul assumption in 2 seconds. Jay is not visible. Lakel's coming in. He wants to execute Mineski, but Joven is here. And a cogs defensively from Jesse Vosh. Mineski with a great fight there. A tower picked up meanwhile on the top by Jules. So Mineski overall just with a great hook shot from Jesse Vosh. Clockwork managing to turn that fight around when it could have been another bad fight for them. The tier 1 towers are traded mid for top, and Mineski take a good fight. Lakel's no additional kills added to his tally, and they get a track on the Invoker, who is done with Yule's Scepter. Yep. Yule's is complete for Invoker, a very critical pickup for him to try to keep himself alive in some of these fights, especially when Puck silences him with the Waning Rift. And now it's 5 deaths for Joven. He's really flatlined in terms of his progression in this game. Not keeping up on farm. Jules is starting to get ahead of him. Definitely not keeping up on GPM relative to Lakel's. About 3.5 net worth behind. And of course, Klink's carry is a good sight better than Puck. And the problem for Mineski is not only that they died and lost their advantage, but also that they may have lost their moment. They do not have a traditional carry. Mirana's the closest. Jay throws out a check, but a huge Echo Slam from SD, and that may have just led to an enormous advantage for MiTH in this game. They even get the Courier. Wasn't carrying anything, but it's another set of gold for them. This early BKB just protecting Lakel so effectively, but the more important thing is just that SD got that extremely early blink on the Earthshaker. He's been part of 16 of MiTH's 18 kills. I can't overstate how insane that is for an Earthshaker, a hero who's not mobile until he gets that Blink Dagger. He has just been everywhere and everything for this team, and the Echo Slams, every single one of them has been on point. SD, the fissure, it hits Joven. He does manage to get the phase shift. There's the Familiar Stones trying to anticipate it. He blinks out. Good play from Joven. And definitely Joven was huge early in the game, but Mineski weren't able to make the handoff to dominating. They got complacent. They built MiTH when they needed a very particular timing for the team. And honestly, this game, in my opinion, is just an example of how MiTH gaming can turn around. Oh, but there's the Dream Coil. Joven's still trying to make something happen. Throws out the Dagon. Moru is still alive, though. In fact, everybody's alive. Moru finally gets brought down. Another amazing hookshot from Jesse Vosh. Jesse Vosh taking the team on his shoulders. They managed to get the pick off there. 3 kills. Invoker, Wind Ranger, and Earthshaker. They all stayed way too long. What an absolutely critical set of pickups for Mineski to make sure that they're not out of this game. Honestly, I wasn't ready to write them off completely, but I did feel like they lost almost all their advantage. But those 3 kills, extremely important. They still have spots 2 through 5 on the order of most farmed heroes in the game. And here they go for the tier 1 tower. This tier 1 bottom, there's no way that MiTH defends this, not with 3 players down. What an absolutely critical fight for Mineski. And Jay, stalking the front lines. He's got Vlad's, he's got most of a BKB. Lincoln Sphere complete for Mirana, so this Mirana is still doing almost basically nothing, but at least she'll deflect Orchid charges, I suppose. Lakel's trying to just hunt, still using that MiTH consistently. He actually death packs the small creep. He wants to Alacrity for him. Will they be able to bring down Jay? Do they have detection? I don't think they do. They do not. And they weren't able to Orchid him before he could stealth out, so Lakel's pretty safe. Lakel's not able to get Jay. He is safe himself. He needs to find somewhere to use the MiTH. All the creeps in the jungle, in the close parts of the jungle, have actually been taken away from him. Meanwhile, the rest of MiTH, we've got 3 players smoked up. SD, Moru. Moru's just stopped his farming. He got the phase. There's the Echo Slam. Jay in trouble. Easy pickup. They steal the gem, which is so critical for a Klink's team. To be able to steal the gem of the other team is huge, because it was so worth using Echo Slam there, because the Bounty Hunter, now with the inability to actually see the Klinks and put the first track on him, they won't be able to get that initiation pressure. There's an arrow getting thrown out, immediately stuns up Lakelz, and Jay will be very, very safe to get out of this fight. So the nice thing about the Lincolns is that Klinks doesn't have any way besides Orchid of actually... Yeah, he doesn't have any way besides Orchid of removing that Lincolns. So there's no way that he can Lincoln's Jules unless there's somebody else there. Furthermore, Lincolns will also stop a long-distance fissure. So I actually think the problem is that the Lincolns does no damage, but the advantage of the Lincolns is that it gives the survivability of Jules just tripled. I mean, it's really just a vastly, vastly better position for Jules to be in. And Abba, he's still trying to farm up. He has this MiTH. He knows that he needs more. He has a Yule Scepter, a tiny part of a drum, and power treads. He's 2, 9, and 2. I mean, Invoker has the most deaths by some margin in this game, only rivaled by Windrunner, who has 7 deaths. And Mineski are going for the Roshan. They're doing a lot of damage to it already. It's not going to be the fastest Roshan in the world. They don't have a medallion. Yeah, they don't have a medallion. Puck going for... Ooh, there's the Visage Familiars with a nice stun. They're just showing that they know. SD is here. He does not have Echo Slam available. There's the Moonlight Shadow. SD already taking a lot of damage. In fact, he's brought down by a Shuriken Toss. The power shot enough for Jay. Jesse Vosh taking a lot of familiar damage. Already 2 people on the ground. Lakelz is here as well. Deafening Blast will clip Joven. The Orchid damage brings him down. They don't even need the power shot. But Clockwork is back up. He has Hook Shot. There's the arrow from Jules. Very speculative. Hits Roshan right in the face. There's the buyback from Joven. He's coming in as well. Nice hook shot onto Lakelz. He's in a bit of trouble, but he BKBs. The Sunstrike, well, it won't hit on anybody, but unfortunately, Puck, the Orchid, is just hitting him again and again, and Lakelz gets out of the fight with the well-timed BKB. There were 2 buybacks from Mineski, both on the Clockwork and the Puck, and neither of them did a thing. The arrow hits straight into a familiar. 2 arrows, both from Jules, both not doing anything, and it looks like MiTH Trust are just going to disengage. Will Mineski seek to go for Roshan again? It looks like they might. This seems very, very bold to me. The familiars know exactly what's going on. They're going for the stuns. Neither of them will hit. But MiTH Trust, I mean, even though the Earthshaker died, he did not use Echo Slam. He has it available, and he still managed to hit a fissure even before he died. Mineski still hanging around the Roche Pit. I wonder if they think whether MiTH Trust is going to try to steal it. SD, he is smoked up. He does not have Force Staff, but he does have the Blink Dagger. Oh, there's a Sunstrike, just very speculative. There's the Echo Slam, and it's huge. He dunks onto Jules. He dunks onto the Bounty Hunter, and here's Lakelz as well, taking a lot of damage from the CM ultimate, but she gets shackle shotted, soul assumptioned, a 3rd buyback for Mineski. Now it'll be Jules buying back, but what can the Marana do? Jesse Vosh has a hook shot, he has Force Staff, he has part of an Aghanim Scepter, but can Marana and Clockwork really stop this steal of the Aegis? Can they actually get the Aegis themselves? I'm not sure. Medallion is already on Roshan, an arrow flies out, another courier falls, Jesse Vosh is getting stun locked by SD, they're bringing down, oh no, Orchid up on Jules. He's so low. He's just going to make it his way out of this fight. Here comes Puck. He's back as well. Lakelz has an Aegis, though. This fight is already over. Mineski need to get the hell out of here. They can't possibly contest this. Jesse Vosh has no HP to do so. They lost their 2nd courier of the game with a Bounty Hunter bottle and a set of Observer wards on it. They have no stock of Observer wards. They lost. Mineski has no option to put Vision on the map right now because they have no wards. Their only wards are on the courier that just died. And this game is going from bad to worse. The longer this runs, even with an even kill score, the worse it is for Mineski. They're now behind a tower. They're behind in net worth. They're behind in gold. You can just see how much this gold graph is swinging up towards MiTH Trust after that Roche fight. But most importantly, Mineski simply do not have a hero on their team that contests the ability of the Klinks to play later on. Lakelz now has an Orchid, a MiTH, a BKB, an Aegis, and 2,000 gold. And, oh, I lied. He actually has, after this Ancient Camp, an entire Daedalus. He has Crit Stick, maxed out, and nobody on Mineski has a good damage item. Marana only has Lincoln Sphere. Puck has Dagon, which this Klinks is going to laugh at Dagon, especially because he still has 7 seconds on a BKB. I'm terrified for Mineski in the next fight. I feel like MiTH Trust will almost certainly be looking to pick a fight soon because they have a Blink Dagger, Force Staff, Earthshaker whose Echo Slam comes off cooldown right now. And they have a Klinks who is just absolutely dominating this game. It doesn't matter how bad of a game Invoker has had. Invoker is irrelevant to the outcome of this game at this point. It's just enough to hit the occasional shackle shot and have a Klinks who is absolutely insane. Furthermore, their defensive Force Staffs, of which they now have 2, are extremely effective against Clockwork because no matter who Jesse Vosh initiates on, they're going to get pushed out of the cogs by those Force Staffs. Lakel's just hunting Joven. The immediate Orchid. The Sunstrike is superfluous because all it takes is the Clinks to just do damage. And he is just cutting the creeps past the tier 2 as the rest of the team does the pushing. Aghanim Scepter available for Visage as well. And that's an easy tier 2 tower. A fortification getting thrown out by Mineski just to give themselves a little bit of time to split push. And Jules has done a decent job of that so far, putting a little bit of pressure on this tier 2 mid tower, but tier 2 bottom. But the tier 2 mid is already down for Mineski. And it doesn't look like MiTH want to stop. Moru tanking the tower, using Wind Run to dodge all of its attacks. Going to have to go out of range now, but the Forge Spirit's already doing a bit of harassment. Jules manages to bring down the bottom tower, so Mineski making some progress to their marks, but unfortunately the middle tower is still under siege. Lakel's with the Alacrity. They don't have a fortification now, and this is when they needed it. The tier 3 goes down. Lakel's still with a couple seconds of Alacrity left. He could just take the melee before Mineski even muster a response. The Fissure will miss. Jules is able to get out of that fight, but unfortunately the melee Rex is already down, and the ranged Rex with its inferior armor soon to follow. And that'll be an easy Rex. MiTH, especially once Mineski loses the puck. 6-1 to 7-7. Jay forced to BKB to get away from this. Moru now just dueling him. And Jay, you can just see the searing arrows. They don't care if you're BKB'd or not. Jay uses his 10-second BKB charge just to flee from a fight that he definitely did not want to take against the entirety of MiTH. Now, this is the end of the push, most likely, because, oh, never mind, Jesse Vosh restarts the fight, doesn't need hookshot just yet, he force-staffs himself on out. Here comes a big ultimate from Crystal Maiden, but it doesn't hit on anybody because of the BKB of the Clockwork. Oh, Echo Slam hits on Joven, he gets deafening blasted, and the totem hit from Earthshaker enough to finish him off. Crystal Maiden and Puck on the ground in exchange for a Visage, and MiTH, I think this means they simply resume their long march towards punishing Mineski for their early game confidence. They rotate. They want the tier 3 bottom. Creeps are in Mineski's base, so they do not have backdoor protection. Here's Lakel's Alacrity once again. They know just how long is left on this fortification. Still 3 minutes. Moru gets hit by a long arrow, but a nice force stab, but here comes the hook shot. Jesse Vosh, this is his last-ditch effort. He gets pushed out of his own cogs. Moru very low. A battery assault enough. This will be the recovery of their gem, but Lakel's, he doesn't care. He still has Aegis. He's Alacrity once again. He runs out of searing arrows, but he's still hitting onto the melee racks. The Aegis finally removed. Mineski managed to get something out of this. The cogs come up. Lakel's is inside. Deafening blast gets thrown out. Lakel's is very low. He's tracked up. They managed to kill him with the cogs push. Nice. That's 1,264 gold for Jesse Vosh. SD the next target. Constantly interrupted by the battery assault. Mineski puts some kills onto the board, and Clockwork gets his entire Aghanim Scepter as well as a Ghost Scepter just from that fight. 2 scepters. This is a highly regal Clockwork. But the problem is, the kingdom this Clockwork presides over is a tattered one. They lost 2 melee Raxes, they lost a ranged Rax. Mineski are on their last legs, even if they have a Clockwork who's richer than God. Nice arrow, actually. Picks off the familiar, which was at low health. Jules still trying to present a credible threat to MiTH. He gave himself the Lincoln Sphere for survivability, but he still has basically no damage. He's got the Ultimate Orb, he's got the Yasha. That'll mean that he finishes Manta Style extremely quickly after 2 more creep waves. But is it enough? Is a Manta Style enough for the Mirana to actually contest the Clinks? Well, it depends. Clockwork has a 12-second cooldown for his Aghanim Scepter now. Sorry, for his Hookshot. He is not quite at level 3 Hookshot just yet, but he'll have it after another kill or another creep wave. He has Force Staff. He has Ghost Scepter, so Clinks is not able to do too much damage to him. Here he goes. He wants Moru. He hookshots in onto Abba. Oh my god, the cogs push. But do they really want to take this fight? Jesse Vosh actually gets shackle shotted. He's not level 16 just yet. Oh no, that's a loss that they could ill afford to have. The Clockwork doesn't have buyback. And now Puck fleeing from this fight as fast as his little insect legs will carry him. He does have Blink in another 8 seconds. He has Illusory Orb available now. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Jay is trying to fight this out. They actually get a track kill onto the Earthshaker. Moru is chain stunned as well. They get 2 kills. They get the Windrunner, they get the Earthshaker. But Lakel's, he's hunting. There's the Sunstrike. Deafening Blast from Alba as well. Joven runs in and dies immediately. Puck is just having the worst transition from a great early game I've seen in a long time. 8-9 now. He's died 8 times for 2 kills that he's gotten. Not good. Especially after you get Dagon and you think you're just going to snowball. But Jay, he will be the next target if they ever see him, but they don't exactly know where he is. Visage making another Force Staff, so everybody getting Force Staff on this game. We already have 2 onto the MiTH. 3rd for Radiant is coming out soon. 1 already available for Dire, and I think they'll add more as well. So in the end, you can't say that was a good fight for Mineski. I think Clockwork and CM for 2 track kills was worth it. especially if they'd also got an Invoker, but giving away the puck is both unnecessary and really, really painful. They can ill afford to lose him when they're trying to farm up a Scythe of Ice. Furthermore, because Lakel's died, he no longer gives the world's biggest gold bounty. So even if he puts himself in dangerous situations, he's just not giving that much gold away anymore. He just bought out for an MKB. So the damage this Clinks is doing is over 400 with... Oh, he does have Death Pact. But still, it's over 300. It's over 400 with Death Pact. Add Searing Arrows on, and it's 460 damage per hit that goes through BKB. Not counting crit, he has a 25% chance to crit for 240%. He also has a 35% chance to bash for another 100. So Clinks can 3-shot basically anybody on this team. But will he be trapped here? There's the hook shot already. He already uses BKB, but he's trapped inside of Cogs. Nobody with Force Staff is there, but he already brings down Puck. You can just see the damage of this Clinks as he trades 2 people's lives for his own. Abba getting very low. Jay trying to attack him. He uses himself up. Jules using Manta Style to escape the fight. There's the Moonlight Shadow as well, but a Dust is the immediate response. Invoker is tracked up, but will Jay find this last hit? It doesn't look like he will. The Manta Illusions will. A 2-for-3 trade. Bounty Hunter, Clockwork, Puck for Invoker, Clinks. The plus side is both of the kills that Mineski got were tracks. So Mineski can afford to take these trades, especially if they have the favorable buyback situation, which buyback is whatever. Bounty Hunter has it, Invoker has it, nobody else has it. The main thing is that Clinks doesn't have it, so they know that that's 50 seconds without the Scourge of the Bone Fletcher haunting them at every turn. But here, MiTH go. They know that 3 players of Mineski are down. Bounty Hunter's not going to want to buy back, especially to defend a tier 2, so they see this as the perfect opportunity to take their last outer tower of the game. And here they go. Easy tier 3 tower. Earthshaker gets the last hit. I mean, we've talked about SD already, but he's had an immense game. 5-5, 23 on a kill basis of 34. He's got Blink Dagger, Force Staff, Ghost Scepter, Arcane Boots. Great loadout for your support Earthshaker. In fact, his net worth is 8.5k. It's the second lowest in the game, but it's compared to the Crystal Maiden, it's not double, but a lot higher than hers. She really just has Ghost Scepter. That's really the watchword for Mineski right now is Ghost Scepter. Clockwork has one, Crystal Maiden has one. Bounty Hunter doesn't, but he's building armor. This is probably, I would guess, going to be an Assault Cuirass. And
double damage.
We talked about Clockwork. Puck, honestly, Puck could build one. I think Puck should build a Ghost Scepter. I think you just forget about your dreams of Scythe, at least for now. Just build that Ghost Scepter. Roshan back up. This is the second Roshan of the game. A critical pickup for either team. Crystal Maiden secures a blink for herself. Very, very bold, but I guess she feels that with the Ghost Scepter she'll be able to get it. Or at least draw out some critical stuns. Like, if a Fissure just hits Crystal Maiden, that's probably not a great fight for MiTH. Same deal goes if a Shackle Shot only mini-stuns Crystal Maiden. It doesn't shackle her to another hero. Smoke coming out for Mineski. Still trying to make things happen. They know that they can still win fights, especially if they isolate Clinks. There's the track onto Abba. It'll give them that little bit of vision. Rocket Flare thrown out as well. Will they take a fight? That's the question. Arrow hits on Lakel's immediate... you can just see the Force Staff responses just on point from MiTH. And Jay still throwing out track after track. They just want vision. They just want to know when it's safe to Roche. The problem is, with a Visage, it's almost never safe to Roche because his Roche scouting is essentially perfect, as well as his Roche disruption. You have, you're facing a Visage and an Earthshaker. Basically, your dire advantage on Roche is more than nullified by the presence of those heroes. Like, you're at a disadvantage, simply because Earthshaker is always looking for that Chaos Dunk. Visage is always looking to set that Chaos Dunk up with some familiar stuns. And the other thing is, of course, that Mineski are fighting 2 lanes. I mean, there's 2 lanes that are completely pushed in. MiTH brought down the entire middle lane and the melee of the bottom lane, so it's very, very tough to take a Roshan from them. Their Rosh is also faster, simply because, again, Clinks is doing an insane amount of damage. His average attack is going to be in the 600s, so when you count the chance of mini bash and the chance of crit. And the HP, I mean, like, Bounty Hunter has 1366. Crystal Maiden has 1176. It's entirely possible, I think, that Clinks one-shots Crystal Maiden, because she's got 9 armor. Well, he won't one-shot her, but it'll be close enough that if she took any other damage, like a power shot, she'll just die. Very tense situation. Both teams know that they want Roshan, but they don't know how exactly they're going to go about it. Finally, some damage picked up for Jules with the Desolator. Very critical to try to kill that Clinks. Now with Manta Dezo, we're actually in the neighborhood of being able to do something. They did get the gem back. So the gem is held currently by Mirana. What's the gem status for Radiant? Gem is on Wind Ranger. And still neither team willing to go all in. There's a big push coming in the top, so the creeps are going to do... Actually, this could be the tower. Yeah, you see a rotation coming out from MiTH because the tower actually is in pretty serious danger. And this will be easy farm. Going straight for that siege creep, you see the Visage Familiars being very smart there. But meanwhile, Mineski, they know to strike while the iron is hot. They go directly into the Rush Pit. This Aegis will be for... They actually deny the tower. There's Sunstrike, but there's no way. I think this is an easy rush for Mineski. Just taking advantage of the fact that the lane was so pushed in. They transfer the gem over back onto the Bounty Hunter, its original carrier, and Jules will take that Aegis. So now this is a Mirana with 2 lives. This is a Roshan. Mineski still holding on, and honestly, that was really smart, using the one lane that they had to push in far enough that it would force MiTH away. I do feel that MiTH rotated too many people. They probably could have just rotated one person and still gotten the tower deny as well as the farm, and kept a credible threat around the Roshan pit. But maybe I'm wrong. Either way, MiTH lets the pressure go for a little bit, and Mineski finds a lifeline in the form of an Aegis. It'll be 6 minutes in which, if MiTH push, they know that they're going to have to deal with 2 lives on Mineski. And this is a pretty close game, all things considered. I mean, I do feel that Klink's carries harder than anything Mineski has, but they have a 12-second cooldown hookshot. You can never count out the possibility that Clockwork just wins a fight with excellent timing. My main concern is the puck. I mean, he's got Scythe of Vice finished, but the question is, will you be able to effectively Scythe of Vice anybody? The answer is, well, maybe. Invoker doesn't have a BKB. He could start building one next. In fact, I think he might, but he doesn't have it. Klinks has used his BKB in every fight, so it's down to 5 seconds. We saw the impact in Na'Vi versus Alliance Game 3 of DreamHack, just of once your BKB ticks down, how much you can get shut down immediately after the BKB. And Mineski is certainly a team that can do that between Arrow, between Crystal Maiden, and between Puck with Scythe of Vice. Jay spots out Lakel's because he has the gem. So there's the track. When Mineski has gem, they just feel so much more comfortable than when during that period in which MiTH was carrying their gem. Josh taking a ton of damage from the familiars, forced to actually Ghost Scepter. He did successfully counter ward, which is the main thing that they wanted to do. And here's a Moonlight Shadow, as well as an initiation onto Lakel's. They've really used this track extremely well, but the response comes out. Ghost Scepter forced out from Jesse Vosh already, and there's the dust. They want to try to find the Bounty Hunter. Lakel's takes an orb to the face, but it's going to be Mineski pulling back. Luckily, they gambled almost nothing on that fight. They have a 12-second cooldown on the Clockwork ultimate. So they can use the ultimate for something super speculative like that. The ward battle continues. They use the gem on the Wind Ranger to remove it. Another hookshot comes out. Jules not hit by the fissure. Meanwhile, here comes the initiation. Jay's in. Lakel's is taking a lot of damage from the Desolator. So is Crystal Maiden, but she's bearing the brunt of the force. Lakel's is already down. An amazing Echo Slam from SD, but is it enough? All they've managed to do is get Crystal Maiden, and 3 are already down from MiTH. Abba is the next. He puts up an Ice Path, but he's in so much trouble. He's trying to TP his way on out. They have nothing to stop him, but he's the only one to survive this fight. The Aegis traded for the last kill that Mineski needed to complete a 4 out of 5 wipe, and Jules all of a sudden has 4,000 gold and no buyback? No buyback? Okay, they can buy back if they need to. They just haven't opted to just yet. Buybacks are available for nearly all of MiTH, and here come Mineski barreling down the middle. What an excellent fight for them. Even with the missed hookshot, they completely split up MiTH forces, and furthermore, they focused Lakel's and took him out of the fight very, very early. He was not able to deliver any damage, and all that MiTH were doing was railing on the Crystal Maiden. Here it comes. 3 Mirana illusions, all shooting red bolts of arrow power at the tier 2 tower. It'll go down. 28 seconds for Lakel's. He doesn't want a buyback. He wants to save up for maybe a survivability item, but already the siege begins. 20 seconds. Will he have to buy back? There's the fissure. Jules will just block it with Lincoln's. It looks like Lakel's is going to be able to avoid buying back. Abba eats a Scythe of Vice to the face. He has a Scythe of Vice of his own. Lifts up the Bounty Hunter with Yules. 6 seconds. Oh, there's the shackle shot onto Jules. Doesn't have Aegis. Deafening blast. Soul Assumption. Yes. No, it doesn't. I was completely wrong. He's trying to TP out. Is Jules actually going to make it out? Yes! Moments before the power shot comes through the Mirana. Oh my goodness. Jules was absolutely dead to rights, and the Lincoln Sphere blocks the killing Soul Assumption, and he TPs. God, it had to be an eighth of a second before the power shot came through to execute him. It absolutely would have. Jules, by the skin of his teeth, escapes. This tower isn't even worthy of the name. It has 28 HP. They have a fortification, so if somebody goes for it, they can at least keep it alive for a few seconds. But both teams getting something they want. MiTH managing to prevent using any buybacks on that base defense. Mineski getting a tier 2 and almost a tier 3, as well as keeping Jules alive and preserving his buyback. This game really shaping up to be a monster between these two Southeast Asian rivals. The Thai team against the Pinoy team. Abba, he's finally, as Invoker, managed to get himself into shape. From 2-9 as a start, he's managed to improve to 7-10. So he's been 5-1 since the disastrous laning phase. And Invoker is starting to make a difference. I mean, he has the Scythe of Vice. He's leveled quite well. If we take a look at the level charts, he's actually the 3rd most leveled person on the map at level 19. And he's got Yules, he's got Scythe. I mean, he has crowd control. He has the ability to do a lot of damage. I think Invoker finally is making a difference. And Wind Ranger, even though she's had a tough game, has been landing the shackle shots. He now has a Scythe of Vice of his own. He has the defensive force staff against Clockwork, and of course he's their mech carrier. So a very important player, even if his KDA hasn't been the greatest. Joven, meanwhile, his own Scythe of Vice has made some impact. I still feel he needs some form of defensive item, but maybe not. I don't know. 6k gold for Jules. He's looping around the bottom. Moonlight Shadow is available, so they have the ability to get another good initiation if they want. What's the gem status? No gem available for the Radiant, because of course they lost the gem on Wind Ranger in the last fight. Lakel's is here. They see him. The track is up. This is exactly where Lakel's doesn't want to be. The rest of his team needs to rotate over. They do. Abba's here. The Yule's onto Bounty Hunter. Did Bounty Hunter get himself in trouble here? Forced to use BKB, but Abba gets hit by an arrow. He's brought down already. But meanwhile, the trade-off onto Jay. He's Moonlight Shadowed, stunned up. The fade time is coming, but they have him, I think. Yes! Echo Slam used. Meanwhile, Invoker buys back. Lakel's fleeing the fight as fast as he can. TNK, he's hit by another hook shot from Jesse Vosh. That'll be Visage down over here, and the fight is over. Lakel's makes it out. He was very low, but he death packs to get himself back up. Moru here to help him as well in case they need the mechanism charge, and this could be a reinitiation. Buyback from Visage. Here's Abba as well, and Mineski. They're the ones now to flee out of the fight. They lost the Bounty Hunter. They used his last non-4 second BKB charge for that fight, and without the Assault Karas, they also don't really have the armor to live through some of Plinx's damage. But that arrow on Abba is great. It forces out the first buyback we've had in a while. In fact, Puck bought back, and Visage and Abba on the Invoker. Puck has just had such a tough game. Here's the siege, though. If Mineski can... Oh, MiTH, they get taken out by Jesse Vosh's... Oh my god, they got Lakel's already. Abba, he's Dream Coiled. There's an amazing Waning Rift. They finally lock down the Earthshaker and keep it from making any impact in this game. Frostbite, and another hook shot. Moru's the next to fall. MiTH are falling apart at the gates of a victory. They keep bringing down Lakel's at the beginning of every fight. 80 seconds now his respawn time, and Mineski put together on the back of Jesse Vosh, who has been carrying this team this game. I think he's apologizing for game 1 that he spent farming the entire time and stealing a rampage at the end. This Clockwork has been this entire team this game. Don't get me wrong, the other players have played well. There's been very good tracks on Lakel's, good Crystal Maiden play, and the Mirana has farmed effectively, but it's all about Clockwork for me. Jesse Vosh has just been immense on this hero, and the Aghanims has absolutely paid off. Meanwhile, the Visage Familiars are doing excellent work in terms of the siege. They actually hookshot to the Familiars. They want to take these out, but they just can't. The tier 3 tower top is gone. Mineski's problem is that even if they keep winning these fights, they have a ranged Rax that's below half health. They have a... Oh, actually, here comes the push, though, from Jules. He's used Manta Style. He's sieging this tower. Lakel still doesn't want to buy back. He's the only buyback left for his entire team. Echo Slam used. Jules is in trouble. He's got a leap. He does get the leap. He gets fissured at the edge of it. He's Moonlight Shadowing, but he's in so much trouble. Do they see him, though? They don't. They don't have vision. They're forced to back off, and Jules lives through another miraculous fight. He doesn't get the tier 3 tower. They still have all their tier 3 towers up, MiTH, but the Jules is posing more and more of a threat every time. But Mineski, they don't have that much in the way of towers left either. This ranged Rax is very low. This melee Rax is their last healthy Rax, and in that last fight don't get me wrong, they wiped MiTH effectively, but they lost another ranged Rax, so they're down to only 2 barracks, and they try to check Roche, but unfortunately it's a relatively long Roche spawn. This is 15 seconds off of the absolute maximum time that you can have for Roshan. If Mineski had been able to secure the cheese Roche, I actually think that they might have a slight advantage in this game. But as it is, because they have to wait a very long time for Roshan, and Klinks hasn't used his BKB, his buyback yet, they may actually not be as ahead as... they may not be in control at all, because we still don't know what the outcome of that Roshan fight will be. It's still very hard to take a Roche off of MiTH Trust because they have Earthshaker, because they have Invoker, because they have Visage. 50 minutes is the mark that will pass in just a moment, and I said at the beginning that I felt that Mineski had a very, very narrow timing, but they've managed to leapfrog themselves with some very, very good team fights to a position in which the Mirana is credible. Klinks is still dealing far more damage, but because the Mirana has Lincolns, because she has now a 10-second BKB of her own, and Klinks' BKB is only 4 seconds, her survivability is actually superior. And oh my god, if they see that Klinks is on the other side of the map, Mineski can just take a monstrously strong fight here. They're looping around, they have Moonlight Shadow. Oh, here's Jesse Vosh already scythed up, he's already hookshotted. The arrow misses, but this fight is very, very chaotic. Here comes Jules with a 10-second BKB. Josh is once again being focused by the Radiant team, but they're not even able to get him. He force-staffs himself out of the fight, and it's a godlike streak for Jules, and they disengage. Here's Moru getting Scythe of Vice. There's the Dagon. There's the arrow. It's going to be a triple kill, even as Jules sieges. Sorry. Oh my god, in the meantime, they got Mega Creeps. Lakel's managed to backdoor the Mega Creeps. I completely missed it. I was paying attention to the fight. It's Mega Creeps for MiTH Trust, and they won't care that they lost all three heroes there. They have an advantage that's going to be incredibly difficult for Mineski to deal with. That is the danger of Klinks. He picked up the Blink. He picked it up as his last item, and Lakel's showing off mastery of the Blink Klinks. Did he just win this game for MiTH Trust? Mega Creeps are extremely difficult to fight against. He can even backdoor the tier 4s if he needs to, but they do have a gem. They may have seen them on... No, I don't think they saw him because it doesn't have vision. They don't have any creeps. If he walks into range... Okay, they may have seen him just now, very, very briefly. They're just picking off familiars. They're in so much danger because at any time... Oh, they just need one more familiar. And here he is on the tier 4s. Lakel's. He's going to take another tier 4. He has been tracked. He has been tracked. Will Jesse Vosh be able to make something happen? Will he be able to make the magic happen again onto Lakel's? It's not clear. Meanwhile, SD goes for the Echo Slam, but he's waning rifted. He's down again. So is Abba. Here's the problem, though. They only have one tier 4, and Lakel's is just waiting for his moment. He's lurking. Jules is doing his best. They need to try to counter Megas if they can. What is the buyback status? Do we have buyback for Invoker? No, we don't. He's got 3 seconds left, and he's short the gold. We do have buyback for Earthshaker. He's going to buy back. He has Echo Slam. The perfectly positioned Echo Slam would be perfect for this. Joven in trouble again. The puck's going to be brought down. Jules using a BKB. He's got Boots of Travel as well. They're still trying to defend their tier 4. It's a buyback for Puck to try to defend the tier 4s, and it's going to have to be a disengagement. In fact, Clockwork with another hookshot brought down Lakel's because he was tracked, but Lakel's, now he knows that this is the time to buy back. He Boots of Travels right to the base. He's going to go for the GG right now, but is it enough? He's frostbitten. Lakel's is in a lot of trouble. Lakel's, he's down for 125 seconds, but the Mega Creeps are pushing. It's onto a naked Ancient Mirana doing her best. It's going to have to be one hell of a Mirana play to stop this. It's 110 seconds that Lakel's is down with no buyback. He got cheeky. He tried to end the game. He thought his Blink Klinks tactic was superior, but wasn't. There's 2 Siege Creeps bearing down onto the base right now, but if Mineski can clear these Mega Creeps, if they can push down the middle, they may be able to actually get an all-in going. Boots of Travel, bought for Invoker, Boots of Travel, bought for Visage. They may face the problem that MiTH Trust may just go for an all-in base push themselves. The 3 familiars ready to ride the Valkyries their way onto the Ancient at any moment. And even with Lakel's down for 80 more seconds, the question is, does Mineski have the time to actually make a credible death push? And the answer is, it's not entirely clear right now. Jules is trying to counter push as best as he can, but it doesn't seem like they can push in at all. Only 60 seconds left, already half the death timer for Klinks has expired. Of course, he doesn't have buyback. Jules still does, but does it even matter? He just doesn't have the AoE. Maybe he needs a Mjolnir. I think he actually probably does need a Mjolnir. I don't think Butterfly is the right call here. They need some sort of AoE to clear these Mega Creeps, I feel. Because nobody else can do it. Jesse Vosh, as great as he's been, even with the Scythe of Vice, not a single person other than Mirana is able to do a thing to these Mega Creeps. Oh no, Joven is getting torn apart by them. He's already bought back. He has to get out of here. They need AoE. They need it desperately. They need Mjolnir onto this Mirana because they're just getting torn apart. The 1648 is the current health of the Ancient, and it's going I mean, it's going up. It's healing right now. But is Jules, I mean, he does have the avoidance. Here come the Forge Spirits to do a little bit of split pushing. The Ancient still regenning, but now it's 16 seconds for Lakel's. That backdoor was just so absolutely critical. Mineski weren't able to do anything about it because Klink's just so slippery, so able to get in the back lines. If only they had shown more vim in the mid game rather than turning it on in the end game, they would have such an easier time now. Here it is. Klink's has arrived. Jules is actually isolated. If they could kill him, he Manta Styles, but he's immediately hit by a fissure. Jules is in a little bit of trouble here. He actually clears out the Forged Spirits. The problem is without him, what the hell is this team going to do about these impending Mega Creeps? Here's Moru. They've scythed Jules. He's in a lot of trouble. There's the Chaos Meteor, the Echo Slam, the Fissure. No, the Totem is enough to do it. 1,425 gold for Earthshaker picked up there, and the instantaneous buyback from Jules, but he's only got one life left. 13 and 4, the Kill Death KDA for Mirana. But here we go. MiTH Trust going for the Aegis. They know that they have all the time in the world since Mineski is stuck dealing with those Mega Creeps back in their base. And this will be an extremely easy Aegis for them. Klink's not even taking it. He needs all 6 of his slots. It's going to be Aegis for Invoker, Cheese for Earthshaker, who has 2.4k gold besides, and Mineski. Now they are on their absolute last throws. Jay is scythed. He does not have anything. They're forced to use Moonlight Shadow defensively in response to that. Meanwhile, the Visage Familiars putting the base on notice. It's down to 1286 HP, and 3 shots from Klinks might actually be enough to just kill this base. What are Mineski going to do to actually defend this? It's going to be one of the most difficult comebacks, most difficult defenses of this Philippines team's life. But if any team can do it, I mean, this is a pretty crazy squad, and they've had a pretty crazy game so far as we go into the 56-minute mark. The problem is they just simply don't have something like a Medusa or a Gyrocopter or a Sniper or a Kunkka, the sort of heroes that have an easy time clearing out Mega Creeps. So they're really struggling to just maintain. Klink's with an alacrity lurking around. They're just using Forged Spirits. I'm just going to keep it on this Ancient. Jay is in trouble. They immediately pick off the Aegis onto Invoker. Here's Moru going down as well, but Klink's, he's hitting the Ancient. They use a fortification, but they've scythed him. Lakel's is now in trouble. He doesn't have any sort of recovery, but the Ancient is at 265 health. Abba goes down. SD goes down. They didn't do it. They didn't push through. Mineski is still alive, but there's still Siege Creeps hitting onto the base. It's now at 206 HP. There's 2 more Siege Creeps coming in. 170 for the Ancient, 127 for the Ancient. The entirety of Mineski is trying to fight these creeps, and the creeps are winning. They're heading for the Ancient. Joven may have to pay his life. It's at 80. It's at 85 HP right now. They still don't have the AoE to sustain. Windrunner is going to come in any second and just hit the base once for the kill. But Mineski, at least for the present moment, they're still hanging on just barely, and so still have to cast them as if this game is not the weirdest thing at this point. It's at 100 HP. I think they probably need Thunder Hammers just on every hero. Like, I'm being completely sincere here. They need some sort of AoE. Like, they could put Battle Fury on Clockwork, but everybody else, they could... Oh, yeah, they could put Battle Fury on Bounty Hunter and be the pub special, but... I don't know, I think this is probably over, because the respawn times are almost up from its trust. So... It takes 1 Klink's auto attack, and now they don't have fortification. They used it on the last fight. Okay, no, it's actually at 220 right now, and then there's another wave of creeps coming in. Josh is in trouble. He's getting bared down upon by the creeps. The Ancient is at 230. Joven has been on his last legs. Here it goes, 26 HP. They use a Shuriken to deflect the aggro, but it goes. Well. Alright. 93 kills, 58 minutes. MiTH Trust takes it. It wasn't easy. Lakel's Klinks is really strong. Mineski did pay in the end for not having a carry who could just really easily clear things or have any AoE. That said, I do think if they had made Mjolnir, they would have had an easier time with Jules clearing. Like, they could have just ditched the Desolator or put the Desolator on Bounty Hunter or something. But still, nothing away from Mineski. They managed to turn... Well, they had a very big early game advantage, then they totally lost it. Mid-game was kind of a disaster for them, then they pulled it together by the end, but they just got backdoored very effectively by MiTH Trust, and MiTH eventually ground a victory out. So that'll take us to a decisive Game 3, folks. I hope you're having as much fun watching this as I am. It has been a very, very, very wild ride so far, and we'll see how Game 3 goes.